Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest info about hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. This episode is brought to you by GSM Outdoors, whose vision is to preserve the sportsman's legacy, fuel innovation, and enable the next generation of outdoor enthusiasts. Think outside. That's where you'll find us. Now, make welcome your host, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. I'm Jason Harmon. I'm your host. We got a great show lined up for you today, and we are on location again at the Rue Beret Memorial Clubhouse here at Ames Plantation, and I'm hanging out with Amy Spencer, and she's helping me co-host today. She's our PIO here in the Region 1 area and does a great job getting the word out, and she's hooked us up with another guest today. We've already had a few here, and you're going to see a series of shows from this location, but today we have Stan Wint with us today, and it's going to be a fun conversation all about field trials and dog trials, but more in depth on how this all happens, right?
Well, we're here at the 126th National Championship, and Stan's kind of got a unique perspective that we're going to talk about here today because he is the National Championship Field Trial Association current president. Your new president.
Okay, president.
And he is a former, you spent 6 years in the judge's saddle.
Yes,
so we're going to have this is going to be more fun of a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, I'm sure he's a wealth of knowledge.
He is.
Being in all those seats, having all those hats, it's going to be fun. Tell us, I want to start out, if you don't mind, just about this clubhouse and kind of some of the history here and this spot we're in today. Can you elaborate on that? It's a neat building here.
Well, Rue Bray was an integral part of this field trial for many years.
Okay.
And his family is still active in this. And this was designed as a kind of a place for handlers to come after the running to kind of rest, relax, get back to normal, and to share some fellowship with each other.
A lot of stories in here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're not hanging out in the trailer or on horseback. You get to come inside and kind of rest
We
up.
used to have a circus tent in the parking lot that was really, really cold.
This is a big improvement over the tent.
And this is great.
Yeah.
Well, we got a little fireplace back here to keep us warm.
We do. And we do have the morning refreshments from the First Baptist Church.
Yeah.
The ladies have biscuits and banana bread and coffee and hot chocolate. And so,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's a great little facility here and place to kind of wind down after the trial and like you said, share stories. That's very cool. So, well, Stan, tell us a little more about yourself. I know Amy kind of touched on a few highlights there, but how'd you get into this and your background in the outdoors?
I was a little kid growing up on a farm in southeast Kansas. Had a bird dog when I was 10. Hunted till I was about 40. Never wanted to go to a field trial because these people are all crazy. Ride around, go fast, Wanted to buy a new bird dog, and I looked in the American field, and there was a litter of puppies there. And so I called the guy, and the only way the guy would sell me the puppy was if I took it to a field trial. So I'm a dentist, so being an obsessive, compulsive control freak, I read every book, studied every video, took the dog to the trial, and unfortunately I won the first one that I went to.
Wow.
I won the first 7. I thought this was going to be real easy.
7 in a row, huh?
Going to be real easy. And so then I decided that that little dog was good, but it wasn't where I was going to end up. And so I started looking for another dog.
Okay, got
and
hooked.
so I went through several dogs and had one that was pretty successful. And I started out with walking dogs. And so I walked for about 12 years. And we had a pretty good little run, and then went horseback, and then kind of as I've gotten a little bit older, I run a few less dogs and judge a little bit more. So,
well, that's a cool tidbit there, walking. So you can do this walking as well as horseback.
Yeah, it's a good place for a lot of people to start. In fact, the organization that I was the president of and competed in for a long time is having their national championship starting next week, just a few miles from here.
Okay.
And 58 dogs is what they drew.
I think I saw the drawing. I think that was right.
Yeah, and so
That's cool to know there's 2 national championships happening right here in West Tennessee. both walking and horseback. That's cool. Very cool. Well, Amy, what's the direction we want to head today? What did you have on your list of things?
I do want to say that Ames Plantation has been the permanent home of the national championship since 1915. And as I said in an earlier show, but you might just be hearing it now, this is the longest running national championship. And that's a lot of people are confused about that because they don't realize this, but this is the 126th year. And there's only been 2 years that it was not run.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very special place.
Mm-hmm.
When Mr. Ames passed away, his estate was put into a trust so that this could run in perpetuity here.
Wow.
So
there's a lot of, you can say there's a lot of history here, but there's a lot of camaraderie. When you talk about the national championship, it's a celebration of tradition, community, and it showcases the bond between owners, handlers, and dogs. And it's very unique when you come here and you start meeting and you start talking to people, because we have people that haven't missed one in 40 years, and they're not running a dog, but they're a spectator. But you can talk more on some of the other points here.
Well, I think, when you look at this trial, it's such a special trial because it's the only 3-hour trial that's remaining at this point in time. And it's a very demanding trial for the dog. Traditionally, if you look at it, if you tracked it out, it'd be in that 3-hour period, that dog covers between 12 and 15 miles. You'll have dogs that will point anywhere from 7 to 12 times. And the trial has gone through a lot of phases. At one point in time, it was only a wild bird trial. Okay. Then it became a pre-release bird trial. This year, it was a combination of things, and that is we'd done a pre-release in the fall. We supplemented the trial with birds at periods throughout the trial, and we were trying to kind of revitalize it. Our numbers had been somewhat less than what we would like in the past few years, both with regards to dogs and birds, and so when I was elected president in July, we had to decide upon a course that we were going to take, and we wanted to do several things. We wanted to make sure that there were more competitors and that it was easier for people to, because we have people from all over the country that want to come to this, and it was very, very difficult to qualify. We changed the qualifications slightly. We ended up with a field of 56. And we've been here for a long time.
You've moved in. I think you're changing your address?
Yeah. Maybe when I go home, my mail will start going back there.
So it's like over a course of multiple weeks and a month maybe even. I'll here a while.
When we finish, I'll have been here 21 days.
But we've also had a snow delay.
Yeah.
You can't run an event like this in February in West Tennessee without having some sort of weather event to hold you up. And this year we had snow.
We had snow, we had rain, we had lots of different things. We didn't have a plague of frogs, but just about everything else.
All right, don't jinx us. We're not done.
When you look at that, the 3 hours is important because a lot of people look at the winner of this trial as kind of a dog that you may want to breed to. And so you're looking for qualities as far as the ability of the dog to find game, the stamina of the dog, because anybody who's bred a lot of animals know that usually you get less than what you start with. And so you're always looking to try and improve things. So
it's a 3-hour trial. And you have a course. You said you mentioned that, but what if just for some odd reason the birds aren't there? How do you judge that dog if the birds aren't showing up or they've moved off the trial
or shut off?
Yeah,
and those things happen, and that's part of going to a field trial.
Okay,
so and sometimes that just happens, but
we call it the luck of the draw.
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah,
but a really astute judge is going to look at the ground race, the speed of the dog, the style of the dog running, the style of the dog on point, the ground application, where the dog runs, a variety of things. And so we're not really just counting how many birds the dog points. And we also look at where the dog finds game. And that is, you can be run along the path and point one, and that's different than if the dog is hunting in an appropriate area and finds game.
Gotcha. So what determines? I'm going to be the novice here. What determines a appropriate area? Like, I know right off the trail sounds easy, but like, are they in the woods? Are they in these fields?
It depends on if you were hunting, where would you go to find birds?
Okay.
Same thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's the ultimate hunting experience.
Here you've got cover, you've got edges, field edges, you've got to have a dog that will want to go with you to stay on course. Yeah. So there is I want to say almost a gauntlet of things that you have to do to get to make the dog's got to go with you. The dog's got to find birds. I mean, it's a
different times a day. The birds are going to be in different places.
Definitely.
It's not like a checklist you can cut off and say this dog did this. That's not there.
And you're not chasing the dog. The dog needs to stay with you. You're supposed to be hunting with the dog. It's like, I think, a squirrel hunt. You let that dog go. Once it trees it, you go find it.
You were on a predetermined course, and that dog needs to stay with you on that course.
Awesome.
And those dogs are out there. They're listening. They'll check in, and they've got to go with you.
That's one of the things we can talk about.
And we will. One thing I want to touch on, because you brought this up. You took over in July as the new president for the NCFTA. And we need to talk about some of the changes that happened and what does it do? What does it consist of and do?
Well, the board is made up of 11 people. They have been nominated and elected from all over the United States. The goal of that group is to have the best trial in the world, and we would like to think that this is the Super Bowl of all national championships, because there are ones at different levels, and that board is tasked with working together. So we have people that work on sponsorship. We have people that work on a bird program. We have people that work on almost any aspect of a field trial from a standpoint of organization. And, for example, social aspects. Last night we had a fish fry. That's the first time we'd done that in a number of years. We had 160 people there. This room here, about 4 o'clock today, there's going to be 50 people in here, and we're going to have refreshments. And so we're trying to reestablish our basis with the local community, because they are our support. We look at a variety of different things with regards to how we're going to make the field trial better. One of the things that we're looking at is we started out originally as a wild bird trial. Starting after the conclusion of this trial, a group called Tall Timbers is going to take the afternoon course and try and convert it back to wild bird habitat, so that hopefully in 2 to 3 years we can run on wild birds again, as opposed to having to release birds in the fall. Mm-hmm. So,
and one of the other changes is there's several changes. We got a lot of notes here. We're trying to get it in. One thing, it was a new selection process this year for the judges, which
it was a unique thing, and that is what we did was I asked the people on the board to all submit a list of judges. And the criteria was this: as somebody who was an experienced person, and someone that would be willing to commit 2 to 3 weeks of their life to do that. So
and all conditions too.
Yeah. And so what we did was from that list we shortened that list to about 7 or 8 people, and then the board rated each one of those people from 1 to 8. And then we selected the ones that were the lowest number.
Okay.
One was the best, and that's the first time the judges have ever been selected that way. And normally you'd have judges from a variety of different areas. This year we actually have 2 from Alabama, which is a little bit different, but we have an exquisite set of judges that have worked very hard. And we also decided that we were going to give them more leeway with regards to what's happened in the past. As a judge, there were a lot of decisions that I was not involved in. And what we tasked them with was very simple, and that is when you get ready to go in the morning or at noon, you're not going to turn the dog loose unless you'd run your own dog. And these guys have been great.
Okay,
They've been really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you speak about the judges coming from Alabama. So what's the furthest judge and what's the furthest
Richie
participant?
Robertson comes from
This year.
Yeah.
He's in Western.
Well, okay, out west. Okay,
Yeah.
And then the handlers and the riders, the people competing, we had some ladies from Ohio,
Oregon.
Oregon and Idaho.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's probably the furthest.
That's the farthest west. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of folks come from up north, or is it mainly west and south?
Mainly west and south.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's what predominates here
Yeah.
is west and south.
Yeah. You'll see some East Coast people if you consider
Well, actually, Avister,
North
and
Carolina,
you're running,
South Carolina.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Lots of
I'm just
Georgia.
thinking the northeast.
running right now.
kinda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
So, one thing I do want to touch on is, and this is your perspective as a judge, is the Miesian standard, because we've had some great conversations about this, but you can talk about that and as a judge, what you're looking for.
Well, when you get here, or at least when I got here the first time, the Ameesian Standard was on my bed, and I was supposed to read it. And I think sometimes there's some misconceptions about what the Ameesian Standard is. It's really a great way to evaluate a dog, and it was not written by Hobart Ames. It was written by Clark Venerable, and it was for an article in the American Field. And it talks about the characteristics of the dog. The way that the dog is supposed to be to the front, not to the side, never to the rear, snappy, be able to determine between foot scent, body scent, different ways to evaluate the dog. You can, if the dog loses some style, it says you can account for that with an exceptional piece of bird work. And so when you look at those things, you're basically looking at how do you get a champion. And it was based upon thoughts and judging standards that Mr. Ames used for several years when he was the judge here.
And I want to ask this,
Okay.
because we've had this talk on
Sure.
horseback, but what is a exceptional piece of bird work that you're talking about that is memorable in your mind?
Okay. Having judged here 6 years, probably the most memorable piece of bird work was when Dunn's Tried and True won the championship. And I think on his third find, the dog, we ride up there, the dog's pointed. Luke Eisenhardt's handling, and the dog is pointed in a particular direction like this. And so he looks at the dog, he walks in front of the dog, he flushes, and no bird gets up. And so he takes the dogs, send the dog over here, and the dog hunts and hunts and hunts, no bird gets up. And so you can tell that things are not going the way we'd want them to.
Right.
And he kind of looks at the dog and he slaps his leg like he wants him to come to it. The dog just kind of looks at him and he goes right over there and he points the bird. Okay. He did what he was supposed to do. He found it and he was being obedient. But as he expanded his range and he looked, he knew where they were.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Hey, boss, it's right here.
Yeah. So the initial point was just a little off, or
Well, the birds had moved on him.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, they don't always stay right where.
Correct. They can lift, and sometimes they lift before you get there. Before you get there. One other thing about this stake that a lot of people don't realize is the endurance aspect of this stake.
Yeah, and you see dogs that start off real hard, and normally you start to see a change in the dog at about an hour and a half. And dogs that have been well conditioned for this probably don't go like gangbusters right from the start. They know that they're going to be there for a little while. And the mud and the cold, I mean, if you think about it, let's say you're going to run your dog and we've had 2 inches of rain. And so it's muddy everywhere. And now it's 29 degrees, which doesn't seem terribly cold. But all that water and that mud's on that dog.
Flashing on their belly.
And the longer he goes, the colder he gets. For him to be able to maintain the style on point, the style running, he's got to be a pretty tough dog, or she, whatever the case is. And so when you look at those things, again, you're looking for characteristics that you might want to breed on with. And so it becomes very interesting to see how the dog handles things. And as a judge, you tend to look more more critically at the last hour.
Yes.
You want the dog to be able to find birds. You want the dog to be able to drive. And at the end, you want the dog to have some kick in his finish, just like.
I like to say the kick because I can remember this one was in the shadow. This was a very memorable dog in my mind from his endurance aspect because we started out and we finished, and that dog was just raring to go. And I remember sometime after the 2 hour and 30-minute mark, he had a fine, and they're taking him over, and the scout's getting ready to turn him loose. And as soon as he tore loose, I mean, he's slinging mud. I mean, that it was still there, the drive, the go, and the passion, and the endurance. It was there. And
when you see that, you don't ever forget it. I mean, I didn't see that dog run, but I did see Speed Dial run, and he had a fine at like 2 hours and 57 minutes. So he should be pretty well done at that point. And just like she said, that dog slung the mud whenever he took off, and that tells you that he's still got the stamina to do what you want him to do. You know?
Yeah.
So lots of fun.
now, go ahead.
Well, I mean, these names are cool too. So how do you come up? It's kind of like horse racing or something. They have some crazy names. In the Shadow and Speed Dial. I think that's cool.
Oh yeah. Well,
I mean,
my dog was honky tonk attitude, so I mean, it can be anything, you know. So.
It's, I guess the characteristics of the dog kind of help.
We've had all kinds of names. Everybody does, but
Someone
I've also
can't share.
heard that. Well, no, sometimes you can tell it was pre-kid on the name or after we had a kid for a dog name. But I will say, you waste a lot of good names on some.
Oh
dogs.
yeah. I really don't think you should be able to name the dog till after he's won a significant stake. Because
Because I mean, I'm like, man, I have wasted some really good names on some dogs. I know we're kind of circling back around here, but I did want to talk about a couple of the changes for this running. And we started February 10th, and we're now February 24th. But this was the first year to have two German short hairs, and we had two female handlers here, two ladies that we have interviewed, and that's another one if y'all want to catch it. But and we also got 56 dogs this year.
Right.
So that's one of the things that this is the first time we've had all of these in this equation, which has made it now going into 3 weeks.
Yeah. And I think that our goal was we'd had a 4-year period where we ran between 22 and 29 dogs. And we did not feel that was a adequate representation of the dogs that were available to do this. So we changed from having to win 2 firsts in qualifying stakes to 1, or 2 placements. You could have a second, or you could have a second and a third. And in doing that, we actually had almost 80 dogs that were qualified. And thank goodness only 56 of them decided to come, or we'd be here till April. But we wanted to make it more inclusive. And whether it's a German Shorthair or a woman handler, they all had to compete in the same way. Everybody gets here.
Everybody gets here the
same way.
Same way.
And that's what's important, is that it's equal and fair to everyone. And if what we want is we want people to have the opportunity to enjoy their dog. Yeah.
Now, as that is the current president and former judge, what do you want to talk about? We got a couple minutes here before. What would you like to discuss? I know you got a lot of notes on that list I made.
I got a lot of notes on this list here.
Don't forget your sponsor before we run out of
Well,
we have tons of sponsors.
But, Purina is our exclusive dog food sponsor. They've done a wonderful job with us. They've been with us for a great number of years. I go back to when Bob West was there. Greg Blair's the person who's taking care of us now. And they work very hard to make us successful. I think that what we look at is where we're going in the future. And that is, how do we make this trial manageable from a time standpoint? How do we allow people to continue to qualify and be successful? We're looking at, in addition to the things that we've done, possibly looking at the Joe Hurdle Award and taking dogs that may not have the requisite wins that would have happened in the past to fill out a schedule of about 42 dogs. That gives us a couple of days for weather. We're in here for roughly 2 weeks. And we look at that. We're looking at tall timbers coming in and reverting it to a wild bird situation. We're looking at the social aspects of it. I mean, having things here in the Ray building,
Getting the crowds back.
well, and I was excited about the crowd we had last night.
Yeah.
I mean, that was fun. And so, we want people to come.
So you're open to spectators coming?
Yeah, and I can remember, gosh, when I rode security here, on a Saturday or the Monday holiday, there's times where there was 1,500 horses out here.
yeah.
I mean, we want that back. We want that camaraderie back. We want people, and like I said, there's people that have been riding here 40 years. There's people that have been at the drawing for 30 years. They're here and they enjoy it, and those are. I mean, we want them to share that.
Well, and we try and upgrade things. For example, this was the first year that we'd ever done an electronic drawing.
And it was awesome.
And instead of being here for 2.5 hours watching those ping pong balls drop out of that thing, we ran a computer and it was done in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We were all like, that was the best ever.
Yeah.
And one thing a couple years ago, and COVID did this when we moved to setting it up and doing a live drawing, and a lot of people could see it on social media. But before then, Bubba and I would be at the drawing, and everybody be wearing out our phones because they're texting us, when did I draw? Because everybody's sitting out there waiting. But there are a lot of changes that have been done, and they are for the better.
Well,
they truly are.
Another thing that we did is Alex Ricker and I talked about trying to initiate kind of a new tradition here, and that is, I said, we need an owner-handler dinner. And so he and I went together to do that, and what we're planning on doing is turning that into a winner's dinner and making that much like they do at the Hobart Ames or almost any big championship that you go to. And so, again, the first time we did that, we had 60 people there and everybody was smiling. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
One thing about it, these changes are for the better. They're going to be slow and there's learning curves.
Oh, we're going to make mistakes, but we'll get it better.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
This is truly for the betterment of the sport.
That's what we want.
And the national team. Yeah. Any final thought?
No, ma'am. I'm good.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough for this, and appreciate all the information that you shared. And you give a neat perspective from someone that's been in the saddle for a long time. And
thank you.
And your opinion as the president.
And someone who hasn't been in the saddle has learned a lot.
Well, I think we can fix that.
Well, I think we should.
You're going to be late to breakaway, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. Interest is gaining, but I'll have to come out and experience this sometime in full force.
I get you on a horse.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, this is Tennessee WildCast. Amy, thank you. Stan, thank you. Just keep coming back. Keep watching. Keep listening. Like, share, subscribe, follow, share this with your friends, and just thank you for your support. And this is Tennessee WildCast, and we'll see you next time.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org. And follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.